Hello from Zeros, my name is Bogdan, you're on channel Smart Zeros, and today I tell you
about the matrix.
Thank you, you heard him. So let's get time machine started. Time is like a river that has turned into ice. With these crystal palaces we will build a new world. Smart Zeros is a space where we rule the time, rather than the other way around. Zeros has no path, they simply move to Smart Zeros. One of the most famous trilogies in the history of cinematography, The Matrix, was published at the turn of the millennia. It has undoubtedly become one of the main symbols of the era. At the beginning of Zeros, these graphics and atmosphere were perceived as something completely new. Emotions from watching this picture could only be compared to the feelings of the person who changed his ordinary phone to a smartphone running Symbian. It seems like you've seen movies or used your mobile phone before, but you never felt that way. By the way, in the first movie, Ericsson R380 should have been used instead of Nokia 8110, and this is one of the pioneers of the Symbian operation system. But the manufacturers did not make it in time, and Wachowski had to shoot with the usual phone. Although even it looked cool then. Just imagine what could I say if the Symbian device takes its place. Immediately I want to highlight the wardrobe of the heroes that they had in the virtual Matrix. It didn't seem to be a revelation, but in combination with black glasses everything looked really innovative. This of course became a phenomenon and went into the masses. Many thought that copying the style of the characters from the Matrix was an indicator of original taste. Even today it's sometimes possible to meet similar people. As for the broader cast, I will not focus on the main couple. This applies to both Neo and Trinity as the characters and the acting Keanu Reeves with Carol and Mouse. Countless words and nomination here will be instead of the very thousand words. For the sake of formality, Neo is programmer and the one in the same person but in two different worlds. Trinity is his faithful girlfriend and hacker, but I can talk much longer about Morpheus and its embodiment by Lawrence Fishburne, as well as the main bad guy, the Agent Smith, played by Hugo Weaving. They were the key characters for my mind, which craved original and deep thoughts. It was as if Smith was a scientist practitioner who without emotions laid out the whole truth of human nature. In the storyline he was a program, and his main task was to protect the Matrix from failures and anomalies, which Neo was. By the way, note that in another Latman trilogy of Zeros, Weaving also played the role of one of the smartest characters in the picture. In A Lord of the Rings, he appears in the role of the Supreme Elf, Elrond. About this delicacy of Zero cinema I will tell you in future materials. In Morpheus you can see Professor from philosophy, but not boring and banal, but exciting and interesting. His voice is really awesome. In Virtual Matrix he turned out to be gang leader and in reality Nebuchadnezzar captain. It's an anti-gravity ship that travels through the expanses of the new world of the 22nd century. Thanks to game Enter the Matrix, I still remember Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, playing Niobe. In particular, her look in the Virtual Matrix. To me, she seemed the most charismatic of all cast. In reality, she's the captain of the ship Logos and sympathizes with Morpheus. As a connoisseur of woman beauty, I cannot ignore even a secondary but memorable role of Monica Bellucci. She played Persephone, Merovingian's wife. Hero of Lumber Wilson, as well as Morpheus and Agent Smith, not stingy in the presentation of very interesting thoughts. And mentioning the characters with original dialogues, it's important to know the architect. Appearances on the screen of Helmut Bakatis are iconic but not secondary. He is the creator of the Matrix, and that says it all. Among the genres that predominate in compositions, one can distinguish between rock and electronics. The latter represented such styles as drum and bass, breakbeat, trip-hop, techno, and other experimental dance music. The Iron Era was represented by industrial, heavy metal, and alternative rock. It was also sometimes possible to hear an ambient. The selection of songs is implemented on the same level as the whole film. Usually the highest bar was kept throughout the trilogy. If now when listening to the soundtrack seems a little vintage at the beginning of Zeros, it was perceived as ultra-modern. Sometimes it was even quite futuristic. I'm sure that if at the time of the picture's release most people already had phones with MP3 playback, the number of installed ringtones from the Matrix would be beyond competition. The Matrix, I dare say, has been seen by almost all of you friends, or more than once. So if you'll excuse me, I'm not gonna dryly paraphrase the actions in the movie. Alternatively, as a reaction to the events in the storyline, I offer a portion of my own thoughts. The thinking of heroes must be severed and interpreted to our real world. Neo and Trinity Alice limited themselves to rather hackneyed topics: love, loyalty, difficulty of choice, etc. That's why for me personally the words of the anti-heroes are the most memorable, especially Agent Smith and Frenchman. Although the positive characters do not lag far behind. Morpheus appears to be a kind of the main thinker of the film in terms of abstract phrases with multiple meanings. And I just adore such statements. They stimulate your own imagination and intellect to look together for the right essence of what is said. It's a kind of game that can be quite exciting at times. Well, there are a lot of characters in the movie that provide quality ground for thinking. The only difference between them is how they are perceived by the viewer. More precisely, as the creators of the picture have decided that we viewers have to relate to what was said. From the mouths of positive characters, information is subconsciously accepted as an axiom. Other thoughts are often found cautiously negatively or even ignored, especially when it comes to the hypothesis of the main anti-heroes. After all, why take cruel reality for the truth if it can be filled with sweet molasses of correct terms and rejoice? That's right, no reason. It will only lead to a bad mood. Although in fact a large stock of quality knowledge is a huge advantage. It can be felt if you learn to use it properly. Otherwise it will only lead to depression, disputes with others, etc. But that doesn't mean that you have to grab the first book or article you get and then take the second, third, and so on to infinity. And then to consider that the level of intelligence depends on the quantity, not the quality of the mastered material. Let me tell you a little secret. More than 95% of the modern content, sites, books, articles, lessons, etc. that surround us is either information trash or at the best the embodiment or paraphrasing of others' ideas. Approximately 3–4% are improved thoughts of other people, which I think is quite a tough job. And Olympus is absolutely unique and at the same time interesting content. It's less than a person. For example, that's why it often takes me longer to find books than reading them. I spend even more time on creating my own content, because I understand that this is the most productive way of learning to generate new ideas. However, creating a unique idea is just the beginning. The key point is that it has to be viable. I mean interesting, well thought out, high quality. Without it, it's very difficult to expect success. The last stage is realization. It's by far the most time consuming. By the way, I spend tens of times less on thinking over the idea of the Smart Zeros project than on its implementation. Not least of all, it was caused by the fact that I took also executive work too. Yes, it was possible to hire almost 2,000 various freelancers. HTML developer, web and graphic designer, project and product manager, copywriter, web analyst, SEO specialist, SMM and content managers, marketer, editor, operator, scriptwriter, speaker, composer, DJ, creative director and even brand manager. But why, if I can do all this myself, at least on acceptable levels? First of all, it costs money. Secondly, it's much more interesting for me to do everything myself because it's perfect for my own self-development. Thirdly, I've implemented exactly the thoughts I want to convey to people without the risk of misunderstanding between freelancers. It all inspired me to write the book How to Monetize Your Hobby. In it, I describe in detail and structure the knowledge I have accumulated over many years. You can find it at the link in the description. So let's get back to the storyline and the character thoughts. For example, Agent Smith. Isn't he right when he calls mankind a virus? I'm sorry to say it, but part of it makes sense. Some of us like to create something new, while others like to destroy the outside world. Also, the Merovingian cleverly notes our helplessness against our instincts. However, my favorite dialogue was between Neo and the architect, where the logic is suppressed by emotions and one person appears more variable than all the others put together. To be honest, I understand the hero Keanu Reeves very well. When you truly appreciate someone, you'll do a lot, if not everything, for it. What's my point? We humans are the most intelligent inhabitants of the planet Earth, and perhaps the universe, but we remain highly vulnerable. Oddly enough, we usually use these weaknesses against our own kind. For example, no animal will make you suffer or smash, even from physical pain, because it will be blocked by the feeling of shock over time, as another person through manipulations on the emotional level. These torments can sometimes last even decades. However, I would like to finish the main part of this material on a major note. Friends, we can admire modern technology, strive to pump big muscles, become smarter or richer, but the fact will remain the fact. Our most powerful power is kindness. No, I'm not interested in pacifist treatises. Although the success of the peaceful uprising for India's independence, inspired by Gandhi teachings, already says something about it. Let's analyze the world around us. Kindness doesn't win every battle, but necessarily wins the war. And I'm not talking about actual wars, but the result of global change. Yeah, times of unrest are like zebras. They come and go. But after it rains, there's a rainbow and justice always triumphs. Sooner or later, it's irreversible. Now I wish everyone to personally accept kindness with mathematical regularity, not just by listening to it in songs or watching it in films. And I ask you to give it to others regularly as well. Of course, my thoughts do not claim to be called an axiom, especially since the main feature of a smart person is critical perception of information around it. It's far from always possible to deny or confirm something unconditionally. Often in parallel, there are many nuances that prevent it. And I sincerely believe that it's intelligent and inquisitive people who are interested in my works. So today I took the liberty of doing a little philosophizing, all the more so because I had a wonderful occasion. The Matrix is an original philosophical work, so I was happy to include a similar style of presentation here. I hope this material has stimulated your own reflections on various topics. If so, I am happy about it and will try to continue in the future to encourage your intellect for this pleasant process. See you soon on Smart Zeros, friends!